Failure is not a dirty word, yet most of us, if we are honest, recoil from it instinctively. We've been conditioned to fear failure, to associate it with shame, incompetence, and inadequacy. The root of this deep-seated fear, school. From the earliest days of our education, we are introduced to failure not as a tool for learning, but as a mark of disgrace. It's a message ingrained in our psyche through years of being graded, ranked, and corrected in school. But why does failure, a natural and inevitable part of growth, come to carry such a heavy burden of fear? The problem begins with how school frames failure. In academic settings, success is often presented as a binary. You either pass or fail, succeed or fall short. This is most clearly reflected in the grading system, where a wrong answer leads to a red mark on the paper, a drop in the overall score, and ultimately a negative judgment on the student's ability. Psychologists like B.F. Skinner have long demonstrated that reward and punishment shape behavior. In schools, failure functions as punishment designed to deter poor performance. Over time, students internalize this lesson. Failure is something to be avoided at all costs because it signifies a fundamental lack of ability. Socially, the stigma around failure in school is reinforced by peer pressure. Children are acutely aware of their social standing, and school environments encourage comparison. Being labeled as a failure is not just an academic issue, but a social one. Research shows that children and adolescents are highly sensitive to social evaluation, and failing in a public institutional setting where classmates can see who gets the lowest score becomes a source of humiliation. This creates anxiety-driven aversion to failure that extends far beyond individual tests or assignments. It seeps into how we perceive ourselves, shaping our self-worth and confidence. This fear of failure leads to a dangerous form of avoidance. Instead of embracing challenges that could lead to growth, we begin to limit ourselves to tasks we know we can accomplish. The phenomenon of learned helplessness, a term coined by psychologist Martin Seligman, is especially relevant here. After repeated experiences of failure or the fear of it, students begin to believe they are inherently incapable of success. They become passive, disengaged, and worst of all, they stop trying. The school system's punitive framing of failure creates a feedback loop where fear breeds inaction, and inaction cements the very failure we are trying to avoid. So, why does this matter so much? Because the lessons we learn in school about failure shape our attitudes for life. Our fear of failure becomes ingrained in how we approach work, relationships, and personal goals. It paralyzes us from taking risks, from pushing beyond our comfort zones, and from pursuing paths that might not guarantee success but could lead to immense growth. The aversion to failure that schools cultivate makes us risk averse in adulthood. We choose stability over innovation, the known over the unknown, and in doing so, we stunt our own potential. So, how do we undo this? The first step is recognizing that the fear of failure we carry is not natural, it is learned. And like all learned behaviors, it can be unlearned. We must dismantle the association between failure and shame that was so deeply embedded in us during our school years. Instead of viewing failure as a measure of our worth, we must see it as a necessary part of learning and growth. This is, however, easier said than done. Do not underestimate the power of the years that we spent in school avoiding failure or being shamed by it. To truly overcome this problem, we must constantly and consciously remember that fear of failure is an illusion built by a school system designed to simplify learning into a binary of right and wrong. But life, unlike school, is not a pass or fail test. The reality is much more nuanced. And if we continue to let our schooling dictate how we live, we are no better than birds who, conditioned by the walls of their cages, forget that they were meant to fly. Thank you for your time. See you in the next lesson.